The Amazon rainforest is a living, breathing entity, dense with vegetation, teeming with life, and simultaneously full of peril. For centuries, the tribes who have called this vast jungle home have mastered the art of survival in a place where danger is constant and resources are both abundant and fragile. Life in the Amazon is not merely a struggle against nature, it is an intricate dance of understanding, adaptation, and coexistence. The rainforest teaches lessons in observation, patience, and respect, lessons that generations of tribespeople have internalized and passed down through oral tradition, ritual, and practical experience. From the moment a child is born in an Amazon tribe, survival skills are interwoven into daily life. Children are taught to recognize edible plants, distinguish between medicinal herbs and poisonous flora, and identify signs of predators or environmental changes. These skills are not taught in isolation. They are embedded within stories, games, and communal activities. A lesson in foraging becomes a story about the forest spirits, or the consequences of disturbing a sacred grove. Children learn to move silently through the undergrowth, to track animals, and to listen to the subtle sounds of the jungle. These early lessons build intuition, environmental awareness, and a profound respect for the delicate balance of the ecosystem. Hunting is both a practical necessity and a complex skill that requires patience, strategy, and cooperation. Hunters must understand the behaviors of prey animals, their feeding patterns, and the subtle signs of their presence. The forest is alive with movement. The rustle of leaves, the chirping of birds, and the distant roar of predators all convey information. Experienced hunters can interpret these signals to anticipate where game may be found. Hunting is rarely solitary. It is coordinated with careful observation, communication, and teamwork. The tribe relies on this skill not merely for food, but for maintaining social cohesion, as shared hunts reinforce communal bonds and ensure equitable distribution of resources. Fishing is equally central to survival. Rivers, streams, and flooded areas provide a wealth of nourishment, yet the jungle's aquatic life can be as dangerous as it is plentiful. Piranhas, caimans, and venomous snakes inhabit these waters. Traditional fishing techniques passed down through generations allow tribes to harvest sustenance safely. Fish traps, spears, and specialized nets are used with precision, taking advantage of behavioral patterns observed over decades. Even the smallest details matter. The positioning of a trap, the timing of the catch, or the selection of bait can determine whether a fishing expedition succeeds or fails. In the Amazon, survival is never left to chance. It is earned through meticulous observation and the application of time-tested knowledge. The forest itself provides more than food. It offers shelter, medicine, and materials for tools and clothing. Tribes construct homes on stilts to avoid flooding and protect against predators. Materials are carefully chosen from the surrounding flora: wood for structure, leaves for roofing, vines for binding. Knowledge of the environment extends to understanding which plants repel insects, which roots purify water, and which barks contain healing compounds. Healing is deeply intertwined with survival. Traditional medicine employs natural remedies combined with ritual practices to address illness and injury. This knowledge is passed orally from elders to apprentices, ensuring continuity across generations. Yet the Amazon is unforgiving. Disease, venomous creatures, and unpredictable weather are constant threats. Tribal survival requires acute awareness of risk. Feverish conditions, infections, and injuries that might be minor in other environments can become deadly if ignored. Hunters and gatherers learn to interpret subtle signs of illness in themselves, their children, or their animals, employing remedies that often involve complex preparation and precise timing. The forest demands vigilance, and inattention can carry consequences that are both immediate and severe. Social cohesion is integral to survival. Amazon tribes operate within networks of mutual support, knowledge sharing, and division of labor. Individuals contribute according to skill and need. Some hunt, others gather, craft tools, or maintain shelter. Rituals, ceremonies, and storytelling reinforce communal bonds, teaching ethics, respect for the environment, and awareness of interdependence. Knowledge is rarely hoarded, it is shared freely, ensuring the resilience of the entire community. Cooperation is not merely social, it is a survival strategy that allows humans to thrive in an environment that, on its own, would overwhelm isolated individuals. Navigation within the rainforest is another critical skill. Dense vegetation, shifting rivers, and the canopy's complex layers obscure natural landmarks. Guides rely on intimate knowledge of the terrain, using subtle cues such as moss patterns, river flow, animal tracks, and celestial orientation to chart safe passage. Mistakes can be fatal. Even a minor deviation can lead to dehydration, exposure to predators, or entrapment in swampy areas. Young tribe members are trained to recognize these signs early, ensuring that future generations retain the wisdom necessary to traverse and thrive in the complex labyrinth of the jungle. Seasonal patterns dictate movement, hunting strategies, and agricultural practices. Knowledge of rainfall cycles, river levels, and plant growth guides decisions about when to plant crops, harvest fruit, or relocate temporarily. Agricultural practices are intertwined with environmental conservation. Slash and burn techniques, rotation of planting sites, and protection of sacred groves maintain soil fertility and ecological balance. Survival in the Amazon is not merely a matter of endurance, it requires careful stewardship of resources and foresight that accounts for the long-term health of both humans and their environment. In essence, Amazon tribes exemplify a balance between human ingenuity and ecological harmony. Their survival is rooted in observation, skill, communal support, and a profound respect for the jungle. They thrive not by dominating their environment, but by understanding it intimately, responding to its rhythms, and passing knowledge across generations. Living with the dangers of the Amazon demands courage, resilience, and adaptability, but for those who master its lessons, the rainforest provides not only sustenance, but a deep, enduring connection to one of the Earth's most extraordinary ecosystems. Survival in the Amazon requires a constant awareness of predators, both terrestrial and aerial, and a deep understanding of their behaviors. Jaguars, the apex predators of the jungle, demand vigilance and respect. Tribespeople observe their movements, hunting patterns, and preferred territories, learning to recognize signs like claw marks, scat, and tracks along riverbanks or forest paths. Young hunters are taught to read these subtle indicators, understanding when to avoid areas, how to move quietly, and how to protect themselves while maintaining access to essential resources. Knowledge of predators is not limited to avoidance. It also involves understanding which animals are dangerous under certain conditions, how they react to human presence, and how to predict their behavior using experience and instinct. Snakes present another constant challenge. The Amazon hosts some of the most venomous species in the world, including pit vipers, coral snakes, and bushmasters. Tribespeople learn to distinguish between dangerous and harmless species, paying attention to coloration, movement, and the sounds of the jungle that often signal their presence. Rituals and oral instructions emphasize caution, teaching younger members to wear protective clothing, inspect vegetation, and move deliberately. Even the smallest lapse in attention can lead to severe injury or death, making constant vigilance a crucial aspect of daily life. The jungle canopy and river systems introduce additional hazards. Harpy eagles, anacondas, caimans, and swarms of biting insects all pose threats to survival. Observing the behavior of animals provides critical information about safe paths, water sources, and potential dangers. If birds scatter suddenly, it may indicate a predator nearby. If river activity shifts, it may signal flooding or the presence of a large reptile. Knowledge of these environmental cues accumulated over generations enables tribes to anticipate hazards and adjust their strategies for movement, hunting, and gathering. Spiritual beliefs are deeply intertwined with survival practices. Many Amazon tribes view the jungle as a living entity, populated by spirits that govern the balance between life and death. Rituals, offerings, and prayers are performed to maintain harmony with these forces. These spiritual practices reinforce ethical behavior, respect for the environment, and communal responsibility. By integrating spirituality with practical survival, tribes cultivate psychological resilience, focus, and cohesion, attributes essential for thriving amidst constant danger. Foraging and gathering require intricate knowledge of plants, fungi, and insects. Tribespeople must discern edible and medicinal species from toxic ones, often relying on subtle sensory cues, the color of leaves, the scent of bark, or the taste of a small sample. Knowledge of plants extends beyond immediate nutrition. Certain roots and bark serve as antidotes for venomous bites. Some leaves are used to purify water. Specific plants can provide materials for shelter or tools. Children are gradually introduced to these practices through guided observation and hands-on experience, allowing survival knowledge to pass seamlessly from one generation to the next. Water management is critical. Rivers, streams, and temporary ponds provide life-sustaining hydration, but they also harbor dangers, including parasites and aggressive wildlife. Tribespeople use natural filtration methods, boiling techniques, and knowledge of safe water sources to minimize risk. Understanding the flow and seasonal changes of rivers is equally important, as flooding can destroy crops, isolate communities, or displace animals. The ability to read water patterns, anticipate hazards, and plan travel routes is essential for both daily survival and long-term planning. Hunting strategies are refined through observation and experience. Traps, snares, blowpipes, and spears are employed with precision, guided by intimate knowledge of animal behavior. Jaguars, peccaries, tapirs, and monkeys are tracked carefully, using signs such as broken branches, footprints, and droppings. Hunting is not merely about killing. It involves conserving energy, maintaining stealth, and ensuring that the tribe's ecological footprint does not disrupt the delicate balance of the forest. Even small miscalculations can result in wasted effort, loss of resources, or danger to humans and animals alike. Canoes and river travel add another layer of skill. Navigating the Amazon's waterways requires knowledge of currents, submerged obstacles, and seasonal variations. Canoe travel is essential for fishing, trading, and connecting with neighboring tribes. Guides teach young members how to read water currents, detect submerged logs, and anticipate weather changes that may transform a calm river into a perilous torrent. Mastery of river navigation is a survival skill that extends human reach within the jungle, allowing tribes to access resources and maintain social and economic networks over vast distances. Fire is both a survival tool and a ritual element. Used for cooking, warmth, signaling, and protection against insects, fire must be managed carefully in the humid, combustible environment of the rainforest. Tribespeople maintain controlled fires in strategic locations, ensuring that smoke does not attract predators or disrupt local ecosystems. Learning to build, maintain, and control fire is an essential skill for young members, combining practical survival with an understanding of the jungle's ecology and the delicate balance between human activity and natural processes. Ultimately, survival in the Amazon is a holistic endeavor, blending observation, physical skill, social cohesion, and spiritual awareness. Predators, poisonous plants, disease, and environmental extremes all demand careful attention, but through careful study, communal knowledge, and cultural practices, tribespeople have learned not merely to endure the jungle, but to thrive within it. Their lives are a testament to human adaptability, ingenuity, and the ability to coexist in harmony with one of the most complex and dangerous ecosystems on Earth. Agriculture in the Amazon is a delicate balance between human needs and environmental constraints. Despite the dense forest, tribes have developed sophisticated techniques to cultivate crops that sustain their communities while preserving the integrity of the jungle. Shifting cultivation, also known as slash and burn agriculture, is practiced with careful timing and precision. Small sections of the forest are cleared, burned in a controlled manner, and used for planting nutrient-demanding crops like manioc, maize, and sweet potatoes. The ash enriches the soil temporarily, allowing for high yields, after which the plot is left fallow to regenerate naturally. This cycle prevents long-term degradation and ensures that the forest remains productive for both humans and wildlife. Timing and observation are critical. Planting must align with the seasonal rains, while harvests are scheduled to avoid periods of flooding or extreme drought. Knowledge of microclimates, soil types, and local weather patterns is passed down orally and through hands-on experience. Elders teach children to recognize subtle environmental cues, the budding of certain plants, the migration of birds, or the flowering of trees, all of which indicate the optimal timing for planting, harvesting, or moving crops. This ecological literacy is essential for maintaining consistent food supplies in an unpredictable environment. Irrigation and water management complement agricultural practices. Small canals, raised beds, and natural water catchments allow tribes to regulate moisture and prevent crop loss from excessive rainfall or drought. Observing seasonal river levels informs decisions about where to plant and when to relocate fields. Water is not only essential for crops but also for maintaining the health of livestock, fish ponds, and edible aquatic plants. In this way, human ingenuity harmonizes with natural cycles, optimizing survival while minimizing environmental disruption. Hunting and foraging are intertwined with agriculture. Food cultivation does not eliminate the need to hunt or gather, rather it complements these activities. Hunting provides protein, while gathering supplements the diet with fruits, nuts, and edible insects. Understanding animal behavior allows tribes to protect crops from herbivores and pests, while simultaneously ensuring a sustainable food supply. Foragers learn which species can be consumed safely and which require caution, relying on knowledge encoded in stories, rituals, and apprenticeship. Each foraging expedition reinforces observational skills and reinforces the interdependent relationship between humans and the jungle. Tribal diets reflect deep ecological understanding. Knowledge of nutritional properties, seasonal availability, and safe preparation methods allows communities to maintain health despite limited access to external resources. Certain roots and leaves are combined to maximize caloric intake, while specific plants counteract toxins or provide essential vitamins. The preparation of manioc, for example, involves careful processing to remove cyanide compounds, demonstrating both practical skill and an intimate understanding of plant chemistry. Mastery of these techniques is passed down through generations, often through hands-on mentorship and cultural ceremonies that reinforce the importance of safe and effective food preparation. Social organization is critical to agricultural success. Planting, tending, and harvesting crops require coordinated effort, division of labor, and mutual support. Elders guide younger members in planting schedules, crop rotation, and pest management. Rituals and communal workdays strengthen cohesion, ensuring that each member understands their role in sustaining the community. Knowledge of past successes and failures informs decisions, creating a continuous feedback loop that enhances survival strategies over time. By combining practical skills with social structure, tribes maintain resilience even under environmental stress. Seasonal cycles dictate the rhythm of life. Rainy seasons bring growth, flooding, and abundance, while dry seasons demand rationing, strategic hunting, and careful management of water. Tribes track lunar phases, star patterns, and animal migrations to predict these cycles with remarkable accuracy. Such knowledge allows for preemptive measures, storing food, relocating temporary shelters, or adjusting travel routes. Understanding the interconnectedness of these cycles ensures that survival strategies are proactive rather than reactive, reducing risk and maximizing resource utilization. Medicine and health practices are closely tied to agriculture. Certain cultivated plants serve medicinal purposes, from antiseptics to remedies for fevers, digestive issues, or respiratory ailments. Children are taught to identify and use these plants safely, while elders monitor the community for signs of illness. Knowledge of healing extends to preventive measures, such as choosing planting sites away from stagnant water to reduce mosquito-borne diseases, or rotating crops to prevent soil-borne illnesses. This integration of food production and health practices demonstrates a sophisticated, holistic approach to survival in the rainforest. Toolmaking and craftsmanship are integral to agricultural efficiency. Wood, stone, and plant fibers are used to create hoes, digging sticks, storage containers, and traps. Each tool is designed for durability, effectiveness, and sustainability. Learning to fashion these implements requires both technical skill and ecological awareness. Materials must be harvested without compromising future availability. Children learn by observation and practice, often under the supervision of elders who impart not only technique, but the cultural significance of each tool. These skills reinforce the principle that survival is as much about ingenuity as it is about endurance. Ultimately, Amazon tribes thrive by integrating agriculture with hunting, foraging, water management, medicine, and craftsmanship. Survival is not achieved by dominating the environment, but by understanding, respecting, and harmonizing with its rhythms. Every seed planted, every root gathered, and every crop harvested is part of a complex interplay between humans and the jungle. Through these practices, tribes maintain sustenance, resilience, and cultural continuity, demonstrating that survival in one of Earth's most challenging ecosystems depends on knowledge, cooperation, and an enduring relationship with nature. Rivers are the lifeblood of the Amazon, providing water, food, transportation, and a connection between distant parts of the jungle. For tribes, mastery of river navigation is essential to survival. Canoes, often crafted from single tree trunks or woven reeds, are carefully constructed for durability, buoyancy, and maneuverability. Knowledge of currents, submerged obstacles, seasonal fluctuations, and riverine wildlife is critical. Young members are taught to read the water's surface for subtle signs, ripples indicating submerged logs, displaced vegetation hinting at the movement of aquatic predators, or changes in current revealing hidden sandbars. Navigating rivers safely requires not only technical skill, but a deep understanding of the jungle ecosystem, timing, and weather patterns. Seasonal flooding transforms the jungle, creating opportunities and challenges. During the wet season, rivers swell, inundating forests and temporarily altering the landscape. Fish move into flooded areas, providing an abundance of food, but pathways become treacherous. Tribespeople adjust their strategies using elevated walkways, temporary shelters, and canoes to traverse submerged terrain. Timing is critical. Venturing out too early or too late can mean being trapped by rising waters or encountering predatory species displaced by the flood. Knowledge of historical patterns passed down orally allows tribes to anticipate these events and plan accordingly, ensuring survival and minimal disruption to daily life. Predators of the rivers demand constant vigilance. Piranhas, electric eels, giant otters, and caimans all pose threats to humans who enter the water. Tribespeople learn to recognize feeding zones, behavioral patterns, and territorial markers. Fishing, bathing, or crossing rivers is never done casually. Every movement is deliberate, and every encounter requires awareness. Camouflage, quiet movements, and respect for animal behavior reduce risk, while protective rituals and storytelling reinforce the importance of caution. Young members internalize these lessons through observation and guided practice, cultivating the instincts and skills necessary for safe interaction with the aquatic environment. Extreme weather, including torrential rain, intense heat, and violent storms, is a constant challenge. Tribes prepare by constructing resilient shelters that protect against flooding, provide ventilation, and withstand strong winds. Leaves, palm fronds, and vines are expertly arranged to create waterproof roofing and secure walls, while elevated platforms prevent inundation. During storms, tribespeople remain alert, monitoring rivers, checking food and water supplies, and tending to livestock or fish ponds. These preparations are learned through experience and mentorship, ensuring that each member understands the delicate balance between shelter, mobility, and safety. Hunting in the flooded forest requires adaptability. Many terrestrial animals retreat to higher ground, while aquatic species become more accessible. Tribes adjust techniques accordingly, employing nets, traps, and spears to capture fish and amphibians. Hunting strategies are intertwined with seasonal knowledge. Understanding animal migration, breeding cycles, and habitat preferences ensures sustainable yields without overexploitation. The same skills that aid in survival during normal conditions become essential during periods of environmental flux, demonstrating the importance of flexibility and ecological literacy. Foraging in the wet season also shifts. Some fruits and nuts become submerged or inaccessible, while others flourish in flooded conditions. Knowledge of plant cycles allows tribes to plan for these fluctuations, harvesting early or storing surplus for leaner periods. Medicinal plants may become scarce or grow in new areas, requiring exploration and observation to maintain access. These adjustments highlight the dynamic relationship between humans and the jungle, illustrating that survival depends on constant learning, vigilance, and responsiveness to change. Tribal communication is essential for safety and coordination. Signals, both visual and auditory, alert members to approaching predators, weather changes, or navigation hazards. The jungle's dense vegetation and the flowing waters of the Amazon necessitate creative forms of communication, including whistles, drum signals, and subtle gestures. Mastering these systems is critical for survival, especially for young members who must learn to interpret and respond to warnings quickly. Communication reinforces community cohesion and ensures that knowledge and experience are shared efficiently, reducing risk for all members. Rituals connected to rivers and weather patterns reinforce ecological awareness and social cohesion. Ceremonies marking the start of fishing seasons, the arrival of floodwaters, or successful harvests integrate practical knowledge with cultural values. These rituals teach respect for the environment, acknowledge the dangers of the jungle, and honor ancestors who mastered these survival strategies. Spiritual practices are inseparable from practical survival, embedding lessons in observation, patience, and careful planning within a framework of shared meaning and collective identity. Resilience is cultivated through repetition and observation. Young members accompany elders on extended river journeys, observing how to navigate, hunt, and gather under varying conditions. Mistakes are corrected in real time, ensuring that lessons are internalized through experience. Over time, this repeated exposure builds confidence, adaptability, and mastery. The jungle, though unforgiving, becomes an environment where skill, knowledge, and cooperation allow humans not only to survive, but to thrive. Ultimately, mastery of river navigation, predator awareness, and adaptation to extreme weather exemplifies the holistic approach to survival practiced by Amazon tribes. Life in the rainforest is not a series of isolated challenges, but an integrated system where observation, experience, social cohesion, and cultural knowledge converge. The ability to navigate rivers safely, anticipate environmental changes, and coexist with predators ensures that these communities endure, maintaining both their physical survival and the cultural heritage that has guided them through centuries of living in one of the world's most complex ecosystems. Spiritual practices and rituals form the heart of Amazon tribal life, intertwining survival with culture, community, and environmental stewardship. For these tribes, the jungle is not merely a backdrop for human activity, it is a living, conscious entity imbued with spirits that govern the balance of life and death, abundance and scarcity. Every aspect of daily life, from planting crops to hunting, from navigating rivers to building shelters, is embedded within a spiritual framework that ensures respect for the forces beyond human control. These beliefs cultivate mindfulness, caution, and ethical conduct, all of which are essential for survival. Rituals often mark transitions, seasonal changes, and key survival milestones. Ceremonies may accompany the first planting of crops, the hunting of a large animal, or the initiation of a young member into adult responsibilities. Such events serve multiple purposes. They honor ancestors and spirits, reinforce communal cohesion, and transmit practical knowledge in an emotionally resonant form. Through songs, chants, dances, and symbolic gestures, complex survival lessons are encoded in cultural memory, allowing them to endure across generations. Young members learn not only techniques and strategies, but the values and ethics necessary for maintaining balance within the jungle. Shamanism plays a central role in these spiritual practices. Shamans act as mediators between humans and the spiritual forces of the jungle, using ritual, song, and medicinal knowledge to diagnose illnesses, ensure successful hunts, and protect the community from unseen dangers. Their guidance is often critical during periods of extreme stress, such as flooding, disease outbreaks, or prolonged food scarcity. The shaman's intimate knowledge of plants, animal behavior, and environmental patterns provides both practical and psychological tools for survival, demonstrating the integration of spirituality and practical wisdom in sustaining life in the Amazon. Interaction with neighboring tribes is also guided by a blend of ritual and strategy. Trade, alliances, and occasional conflict are mediated through ceremonies, negotiations, and shared customs. Knowledge of neighboring territories, resources, and survival strategies is exchanged in ways that ensure mutual benefit and minimize risk. For example, knowledge of edible plants, medicinal herbs, or seasonal hunting grounds may be shared in exchange for crafted tools, ceremonial objects, or information about river navigation. These interactions illustrate that survival is not solely an individual or family endeavor. It is a communal enterprise that extends across tribes, guided by ethics, trust, and reciprocal obligations. Preparation for potential conflict is integrated into daily life. While cooperation is emphasized, tribes are acutely aware of the dangers posed by outsiders. Young members are trained to recognize territorial markers, identify potential threats, and respond appropriately without provoking unnecessary confrontation. Defensive strategies often involve understanding the terrain, utilizing camouflage, and moving silently through the dense jungle. These skills are taught in tandem with ethical considerations, ensuring that survival strategies do not disrupt social harmony or provoke conflict unnecessarily. Hunting, gathering, and agriculture continue to be deeply influenced by spiritual observation. Specific rituals may be performed before a hunt, asking for permission from animal spirits and acknowledging the interconnectedness of predator and prey. Harvesting certain plants may require ceremonial acknowledgement, ensuring that resources are not depleted recklessly. By embedding ethical and spiritual awareness into practical survival activities, tribes cultivate a mindset of respect, foresight, and restraint, allowing them to live sustainably within the fragile ecosystem of the rainforest. Ritual purification and healing practices reinforce community resilience. Illnesses, injuries, and spiritual imbalances are treated with a combination of herbal remedies, ritual cleansing, and guidance from shamans. Knowledge of medicinal plants combined with ritualized preparation allows tribes to address physical ailments that might otherwise be fatal. Psychological resilience is fostered as well. Community ceremonies provide structure, reinforce social bonds, and instill hope and courage, vital qualities when facing the relentless challenges of the jungle environment. Education within the tribe is an immersive experience. Learning occurs through observation, participation, and direct mentorship, with survival lessons intertwined with cultural and spiritual instruction. Children and adolescents are gradually entrusted with increasing responsibilities, from foraging and hunting to ritual leadership and intertribal diplomacy. Mistakes are treated as learning opportunities, often embedded in stories or reenactments that demonstrate consequences without endangering life. This gradual, holistic education ensures that knowledge is internalized fully, equipping each new generation with the skills, judgment, and ethical grounding necessary to thrive. Environmental observation remains a central focus. Weather patterns, animal movements, plant growth cycles, and river fluctuations are all monitored continuously. Changes in behavior or appearance can signal threats or opportunities, from approaching predators to fertile hunting grounds. Spiritual practices amplify these observations, as natural phenomena are interpreted both literally and symbolically. By combining practical and spiritual perspectives, tribes gain a comprehensive understanding of their environment, allowing for proactive decision-making and adaptive strategies that enhance survival. Ultimately, the Amazon's dangers, from predators to disease, floods to resource scarcity, are mitigated through a sophisticated integration of culture, spirituality, and practical skill. Tribes do not merely survive, they thrive by understanding the jungle as a living system, cooperating internally and externally, and maintaining ethical and spiritual alignment with their surroundings. Life in the rainforest demonstrates that survival is as much about knowledge, observation, and community as it is about physical endurance, and that the lessons passed down through ritual, storytelling, and mentorship ensure the persistence of both human life and cultural identity amidst one of the world's most formidable ecosystems. Disease and injury present constant challenges in the Amazon rainforest, where high humidity, dense vegetation, and abundant wildlife create ideal conditions for pathogens, parasites, and accidents. Survival in this environment demands a sophisticated understanding of natural medicine, preventive measures, and communal care. For Amazon tribes, illness is not seen merely as a biological event, but as a signal that balance has been disrupted between humans and their environment, or between individuals and the spirits of the jungle. Healing is therefore a holistic practice, combining observation, herbal remedies, ritual, and social support. Preventive measures begin with environmental awareness. Water sources, for instance, are carefully monitored and treated to avoid contamination. Drinking water from rivers and streams is filtered through natural materials, boiled, or supplemented with medicinal plants that possess antimicrobial properties. Knowledge of safe and unsafe water sources is passed orally and reinforced through experience. Children learn to recognize signs of contamination, such as unusual odor, discoloration, or the presence of specific insects, ensuring that they can avoid illness from an early age. Mosquito-borne diseases are another major concern. Tribes employ natural repellents derived from plants, smoke from specific leaves, and carefully timed movement to avoid peak activity periods. Clothing, bedding arrangements, and sleeping locations are all designed to reduce exposure. In addition, communal knowledge emphasizes sanitation practices, even within the constraints of a rainforest environment. Trash disposal, management of human waste, and storage of food are carefully controlled to minimize the spread of disease. Herbal medicine is the cornerstone of treatment. Amazon tribes have an encyclopedic knowledge of medicinal plants, each with specific applications for fevers, infections, wounds, digestive issues, and respiratory ailments. Leaves, bark, roots, and seeds are prepared in precise ways, boiled, crushed, infused, or applied topically to maximize effectiveness. For example, certain leaves are used as poultices for wounds, while specific roots are brewed to reduce fever or relieve pain. Knowledge of dosage, timing, and preparation is transmitted orally, often embedded in stories or chants that reinforce memory and ensure accuracy. Injuries are treated with both practical and ritual measures. Cuts, fractures, and burns are cleansed using herbal antiseptics and bound with natural fibers or leaves. Splints are crafted from wood or bamboo to immobilize fractures, while knowledge of massage, pressure points, and manipulation techniques aids in rehabilitation. Young members learn through apprenticeship, observing elders handle injuries and gradually participating under supervision. Mistakes are corrected immediately to prevent complications, ensuring that life-threatening injuries do not result in permanent disability or death. Spiritual rituals accompany physical healing, reinforcing psychological resilience. Illness may be attributed to spiritual imbalance, and shamans conduct ceremonies to realign the patient with protective forces or appease offended spirits. Rituals often involve chanting, use of sacred plants, and symbolic gestures that emphasize community support and personal reflection. These practices enhance recovery by reducing stress, fostering a sense of safety, and maintaining the cohesion of the community around the afflicted individual. Food and nutrition are central to disease prevention and recovery. A diet rich in fruits, roots, nuts, and protein from hunting and fishing provides essential vitamins and minerals that strengthen the immune system. Medicinal plants are sometimes incorporated into meals, offering preventive benefits alongside sustenance. Tribes recognize that survival depends not only on caloric intake, but on the careful balance of nutrients, and knowledge of seasonal availability ensures that diets remain diverse and health-supportive throughout the year. Training in first aid begins early. Children are taught to recognize signs of infection, dehydration, or malnutrition, and to respond appropriately. Young hunters learn to treat snake bites, insect stings, and injuries sustained during river travel or forest excursions. This training combines practical skill with observational acuity, ensuring that each member of the tribe can contribute to communal survival. By embedding these skills in daily practice, tribes maintain resilience even in the absence of external medical support. Community care is integral to recovery. Ill or injured individuals are supported by extended family and neighbors, ensuring access to food, water, and protection while they heal. Social bonds strengthen during periods of illness, creating networks of mutual aid that enhance overall survival. Knowledge of care practices, such as monitoring symptoms, administering remedies, and providing safe shelter, is as critical as knowledge of hunting or navigation. The survival of the group depends on the well-being of each individual, and this interdependence is reinforced culturally and spiritually. Finally, observation of environmental patterns aids in anticipating disease risks. Seasonal flooding, temperature changes, and animal migrations often correlate with outbreaks of illness or the spread of parasites. Tribes use this knowledge to adjust their behavior, relocating temporarily, avoiding certain areas, or intensifying preventive measures. This proactive approach, combining observation, herbal medicine, ritual, and community support, exemplifies the Amazon tribe's holistic approach to survival, demonstrating that thriving in the jungle requires not only skill and courage, but wisdom, foresight, and an integrated understanding of both nature and culture. Intertribal relationships are a critical dimension of survival in the Amazon. The rainforest, with its vast rivers, dense foliage, and fragmented resources, necessitates cooperation, trade, and diplomacy among neighboring tribes. Survival is rarely achieved in isolation. Instead, tribes rely on a complex web of social connections to access food, tools, knowledge, and safe passage through unfamiliar territories. These relationships are cultivated over generations, often through ritualized exchanges, shared ceremonies, and the careful maintenance of trust and mutual respect. Trade serves both practical and social functions. Essential goods such as crafted tools, hunting implements, medicinal plants, and surplus food are exchanged between communities. These exchanges are rarely driven purely by immediate need. They also reinforce alliances, establish social hierarchies, and maintain communication networks. Knowledge is among the most valuable commodities in this system. Learning about new hunting grounds, medicinal plants, river routes, or weather patterns can significantly enhance survival prospects. Elders often act as the custodians of this knowledge, ensuring that lessons learned through experience are shared with both their own tribe and trusted neighbors. Rituals play a pivotal role in formalizing interactions between tribes. Ceremonial gatherings often accompany trade expeditions or joint hunting endeavors, reinforcing social norms, ethical conduct, and spiritual alignment. These gatherings provide a structured environment for conflict resolution, negotiation, and alliance building. Through ritual, tribes acknowledge shared responsibilities to the forest, to each other, and to the spirits that govern their world. Young members observe and participate in these ceremonies, internalizing social norms, survival strategies, and ethical principles that govern intertribal conduct. Conflict, though often minimized, is an unavoidable aspect of intertribal interaction. Disputes may arise over hunting territories, water sources, or perceived violations of cultural norms. Tribes have developed elaborate systems of conflict resolution that emphasize communication, mediation, and ritualized gestures. Direct confrontation is typically a last resort. Instead, elders, shamans, or respected intermediaries facilitate dialogue, propose restitution, or establish neutral grounds for negotiation. These practices prevent escalation, preserve human life, and maintain the stability necessary for long-term survival in a challenging environment. Shared knowledge is central to these interactions. Tribes exchange survival techniques, such as innovative fishing methods, crop management strategies, or techniques for navigating treacherous river passages. This transfer of knowledge ensures that communities benefit from collective experience and enhances resilience across the rainforest. For example, learning a new method to treat snake bites, preserve food, or build shelters may mean the difference between survival and catastrophe during times of scarcity or environmental stress. Such exchanges exemplify the principle that survival is deeply social, dependent not only on individual skill, but also on community networks and cross-tribal cooperation. Intertribal alliances also serve defensive purposes. Predatory animals, extreme weather, and territorial disputes are mitigated through mutual aid agreements. Tribes may form joint patrols, share safe travel routes, or provide sanctuary to each other during periods of danger. These alliances are often formalized through ritual oaths, gifts, and shared ceremonies, embedding survival strategies within cultural frameworks. The psychological reassurance provided by these alliances fosters courage, reduces anxiety, and reinforces communal cohesion, qualities essential for enduring the unpredictable challenges of the rainforest. Marriage and kinship connections extend these alliances further. Strategic marriages between tribes solidify bonds, facilitate knowledge transfer, and create extended networks of obligation and mutual support. Through these relationships, survival strategies, cultural practices, and ecological knowledge are disseminated across wider geographic areas. Children born into these connections inherit both genetic resilience and cultural wisdom, enhancing the continuity of survival practices and social cohesion. Environmental stewardship is a shared responsibility reinforced by intertribal relationships. Communities collectively monitor resource use, observe wildlife patterns, and coordinate practices to ensure sustainable hunting, fishing, and foraging. Disputes over land or resources are mitigated through negotiation, shared rituals, and respect for long-standing territorial agreements. By maintaining ecological balance collectively, tribes ensure that the rainforest continues to provide the sustenance, shelter, and materials essential for survival. The role of storytelling in intertribal knowledge exchange cannot be overstated. Oral histories, myths, and legends convey survival lessons, ethical codes, and ecological understanding, in an engaging, memorable form. A story about a dangerous river, a predatory animal, or a failed hunting expedition carries both practical guidance and moral instruction. These narratives are shared during communal gatherings, festivals, or trade encounters, reinforcing memory and establishing a collective wisdom that transcends individual experience. Young members learn to interpret symbolic and practical messages embedded within these stories, ensuring that survival knowledge remains accessible across generations. Ultimately, survival in the Amazon is inseparable from social interconnectedness. Intertribal cooperation, trade, alliance building, conflict resolution, and knowledge exchange are as crucial as hunting, foraging, and shelter construction. By embedding survival strategies within cultural, ritual, and ethical frameworks, Amazon tribes create a resilient system capable of withstanding environmental pressures, predatory threats, and resource scarcity. Human ingenuity, social cohesion, and spiritual alignment converge to allow these communities not merely to endure, but to flourish within one of the planet's most formidable ecosystems. Storytelling is central to survival in the Amazon, serving as a repository of knowledge, a medium for moral guidance, and a means of preserving cultural identity. Oral traditions encompass practical instructions on hunting, foraging, navigation, and medicine while simultaneously conveying ethical principles and spiritual beliefs. Through stories, children learn to recognize animal tracks, predict weather patterns, identify medicinal plants, and avoid dangerous locations. Each tale is layered with meaning, ensuring that essential survival knowledge is transmitted memorably and effectively, often embedding lessons in metaphor and symbolism that remain relevant across generations. Legends about predators, for instance, serve multiple functions. A story about a jaguar that attacked a careless hunter is not merely entertainment. It conveys lessons about vigilance, respect for natural boundaries, and the importance of strategy and preparation. Similarly, tales of piranhas or caimans teach children to respect river ecosystems, avoid reckless behavior, and approach water sources with caution. Over time, these narratives build an intuitive understanding of the jungle's dangers, combining factual observation with cultural reinforcement. By presenting survival principles within a compelling narrative, tribes ensure that knowledge is retained and internalized, even by the youngest members. Stories also serve to strengthen social cohesion and identity. Communal storytelling sessions, often held around fires in the evenings, create a shared experience that binds members together. Through these gatherings, individuals develop a sense of belonging, learn social norms, and internalize ethical principles that govern both interpersonal behavior and interaction with the environment. The repetition of stories fosters memory and continuity, ensuring that lessons learned centuries ago remain relevant in contemporary life. For children, listening to tales of ancestors' survival strategies cultivates respect for elders, appreciation for collective effort, and awareness of the delicate balance between humans and the natural world. Cultural preservation through storytelling is complemented by practical demonstration. Young members accompany elders on hunting trips, foraging excursions, and river expeditions, observing techniques described in stories and seeing firsthand how abstract lessons translate into action. For example, a tale about navigating a flooded river may be reinforced by participating in a real journey where subtle cues such as watercolor, animal behavior, or current shifts become tangible indicators of safety or danger. By integrating oral tradition with experiential learning, tribes create a robust educational system that is adaptive, engaging, and deeply practical. Storytelling also preserves spiritual knowledge, which is integral to survival. Narratives describe the roles of spirits, shamans, and guardian entities, guiding behavior in ways that ensure both safety and ecological harmony. A tale about a river spirit punishing those who overfish serves as a cautionary lesson about sustainable practices, blending moral instruction with environmental awareness. Similarly, stories about forest spirits or ancestral protectors reinforce the principle that humans are part of a broader ecological and spiritual network, and that survival depends on maintaining respect, balance, and ethical conduct within this network. Trade, alliances, and intertribal relationships are also reinforced through storytelling. Narratives recount past agreements, successful collaborations, or conflicts that shaped current territorial and social boundaries. By embedding historical experience within compelling stories, tribes transmit collective memory, allowing younger generations to navigate complex social landscapes effectively. Knowledge of neighboring tribes' behaviors, resource patterns, and cultural norms becomes accessible in a form that is both engaging and memorable, enhancing the community's ability to survive and thrive in a competitive environment. Ritualized storytelling amplifies the impact of these lessons. Ceremonial performances often incorporate song, dance, and dramatization, making narratives immersive and emotionally resonant. The use of rhythm, repetition, and symbolic gestures aids memory retention, while group participation strengthens social bonds and reinforces collective understanding. Such ceremonies are not merely cultural expression, they are survival mechanisms, ensuring that critical knowledge is preserved, transmitted, and internalized effectively across generations. Innovation is often embedded in stories as well. Tribes use tales to record experimental approaches to survival, from novel hunting techniques to improved agricultural methods, and to encode strategies for coping with environmental change. A story about building a canoe with a new design, for instance, may be shared alongside lessons about river currents, seasonal floods, or predator behavior, allowing multiple layers of knowledge to be conveyed simultaneously. Through this approach, tribes maintain a dynamic repository of collective intelligence that evolves while remaining grounded in cultural continuity. Conflict management and ethical conduct are reinforced through cautionary tales. Stories about disputes with neighbors, the consequences of overexploitation, or the dangers of disrespecting spiritual or social norms teach younger members how to navigate complex social and environmental systems responsibly. By internalizing these lessons through narrative, children develop judgment, foresight, and an understanding of cause and effect, skills essential for both individual and collective survival. Ultimately, storytelling in the Amazon is inseparable from survival. It integrates practical knowledge, ethical instruction, spiritual guidance, and social cohesion into a single, adaptable system. Through stories, Amazon tribes teach vigilance against predators, respect for natural resources, navigation of complex social landscapes, and resilience in the face of environmental challenges. These narratives ensure that essential wisdom persists across generations, equipping each new member with the knowledge, skills, and ethical framework necessary to thrive in one of Earth's most challenging and dynamic ecosystems. Seasonal migration and long-term survival strategies are central to the resilience of Amazon tribes. The rainforest is a dynamic environment with fluctuations in rainfall, river levels, fruiting cycles, and predator behavior shaping the rhythm of life. Tribes have developed intricate strategies to navigate these changes, balancing mobility with stability and adapting their settlements, hunting, and foraging practices according to seasonal patterns. Survival is not a static endeavor. It requires constant observation, flexibility, and foresight, all of which are honed through experience and transmitted across generations. Flooded rivers in the wet season can render familiar paths impassable, forcing tribes to relocate temporarily. Villages may move to higher ground, or semi-permanent camps are established near elevated terraces, ensuring access to both shelter and food. Canoes become essential tools for transportation, enabling safe movement through submerged forests and connecting communities that might otherwise be isolated. Understanding river currents, hidden obstacles, and seasonal fluctuations allows tribes to anticipate changes and adjust their movements proactively, avoiding hazards such as swift floods, predatory animals displaced by rising waters, or stagnant pools that harbor disease. Dry seasons present a different set of challenges. Rivers recede, fish become concentrated in smaller water bodies, and food scarcity increases. During these times, knowledge of alternative resources becomes vital. Edible roots, tubers, and seeds, often overlooked during periods of abundance, are harvested strategically to sustain the community. Hunting shifts toward terrestrial species as animals congregate near remaining water sources, and foraging requires heightened attention to subtle signs in the forest, such as tracks, burrows, or changes in vegetation. Tribes meticulously plan their movements and activities, distributing labor efficiently to ensure that both food and water needs are met. Long-term survival is also tied to knowledge of ecological cycles. Tribes track the flowering and fruiting patterns of key plants, the breeding cycles of animals, and the migratory routes of birds and fish. This ecological literacy allows them to anticipate food availability and adjust schedules for planting, harvesting, and hunting. By aligning human activity with natural cycles, they reduce the risk of resource depletion, ensure sustainable yields, and maintain harmony with the forest. Such synchronization requires acute observation, memory, and cultural reinforcement, often embedded in stories, songs, and ritualized practices that encode practical survival lessons. Preparation for environmental extremes is another cornerstone of survival. The jungle's unpredictability, intense storms, flash floods, and periods of extreme heat necessitates foresight and redundancy. Communities store surplus food in elevated granaries or sealed containers, ensuring that unexpected shortages can be weathered. Temporary shelters and communal gathering sites are reinforced to withstand strong winds and heavy rainfall. Even clothing and personal gear are adapted to seasonal conditions, with materials selected for durability, waterproofing, and breathability. Each adaptation reflects an intimate understanding of the environment, honed over centuries of trial, observation, and experimentation. Mobility is complemented by social networks. Tribes maintain alliances with neighboring communities, allowing for resource sharing, mutual protection, and access to additional knowledge. During times of scarcity or environmental stress, these networks become critical. Food, tools, and medicinal plants can be exchanged, and vulnerable members may find temporary refuge with allied tribes. The psychological reassurance provided by these connections also contributes to resilience, reinforcing the importance of community in survival. Young members learn the boundaries of safe territories, routes for travel, and etiquette for interaction, ensuring that migration and mobility do not compromise safety or social harmony. Adaptive technology enhances seasonal survival. Canoes, fishing traps, hunting tools, and temporary shelters are constructed to accommodate changing conditions. For example, fishing traps are relocated according to water levels, and hunting implements are selected for efficiency in specific environments. The construction and maintenance of these tools are both a practical necessity and a cultural practice, with skills passed down through hands-on apprenticeship and observation. Mastery of these tools ensures that mobility and resource acquisition remain effective even in the most challenging circumstances. Food preservation techniques are vital for enduring periods of scarcity. Smoked, dried, or fermented foods provide nutrition when fresh resources are limited, and understanding the appropriate methods for different species ensures safety and sustenance. These practices require precise timing and preparation, often learned over years of experience. Stored food is monitored regularly to prevent spoilage or loss, and knowledge of alternative food sources such as edible insects, bark, or seeds acts as a critical safety net during lean periods. Education for long-term survival emphasizes foresight and planning. Children learn to anticipate environmental changes, predict animal behavior, and assess risk. They are taught the importance of rationing, cooperative work, and maintaining ecological balance. These lessons are embedded within daily activities, storytelling, and ritual, ensuring that survival knowledge is not abstract, but lived and internalized. Over time, each member develops the judgment and adaptability necessary to navigate the complex and dynamic Amazon ecosystem. Ultimately, seasonal migration, long-term planning, and preparation for environmental extremes illustrate the sophistication of Amazonian survival strategies. Tribes integrate mobility, ecological observation, social networks, technology, and cultural knowledge to create a resilient system capable of withstanding the unpredictable challenges of the rainforest. Survival is not merely a matter of immediate necessity. It is a continuous process of learning, adapting, and harmonizing with one of the most complex ecosystems on Earth. By combining foresight, skill, and social cohesion, Amazon tribes ensure that their communities thrive, preserving both life and cultural identity across generations. As Amazon tribes look to the future, the integration of survival knowledge, cultural identity, and environmental adaptation becomes increasingly vital. The challenges they face are evolving, yet the core principles that have sustained generations remain constant: keen observation, practical skill, ethical conduct, community cohesion, and spiritual alignment with the rainforest. These principles form a holistic framework that allows the tribes not merely to endure, but to thrive, preserving both life and heritage in an environment that demands constant vigilance and adaptability. Education remains the backbone of resilience. Elders, shamans, and experienced hunters mentor the youth, ensuring that critical survival knowledge is passed down. This includes practical skills such as hunting, fishing, navigation, and shelter construction, as well as ecological literacy, such as understanding plant cycles, animal behavior, and water management. But education also emphasizes cultural and spiritual wisdom. Through storytelling, ritual, and participation in communal ceremonies, children internalize the ethical codes, social norms, and spiritual insights that guide their interaction with both the environment and each other. This combination of practical and moral education ensures that survival skills are embedded within a larger framework of meaning, fostering long-term resilience. The preservation of knowledge is not static, it evolves with experience. Tribes continuously adapt to environmental changes, experimenting with new techniques, tools, and strategies. Innovations in canoe design, fishing traps, hunting methods, and agricultural practices reflect centuries of accumulated wisdom refined by trial and observation. Similarly, medicinal knowledge grows as new plants are discovered, and the effects of existing remedies are observed and shared. These innovations are carefully recorded through oral tradition, ritual enactment, and apprenticeship, creating a dynamic system of knowledge transmission that balances continuity with adaptability. Spiritual practices continue to guide survival strategies. Rituals that honor the jungle, spirits, and ancestors reinforce ethical conduct, ecological respect, and social cohesion. By embedding practical knowledge within spiritual narratives, tribes ensure that critical lessons are internalized deeply and transmitted reliably. Ceremonies also provide psychological support, helping communities maintain resilience in the face of unpredictable dangers such as predators, disease, or extreme weather. Spiritual alignment, practical skill, and ethical conduct together create a holistic survival framework that has allowed these communities to endure for centuries. Intertribal alliances remain essential. Exchange of goods, knowledge, and cultural practices strengthens both practical survival and social cohesion. Trade networks facilitate access to resources that may be scarce in a particular area, while shared ceremonial practices reinforce trust and cooperation. Mutual defense arrangements, negotiated through ritual and negotiation, protect communities from both human and environmental threats. These alliances exemplify the understanding that survival is fundamentally a social endeavor, dependent not only on individual skill but on the resilience and coordination of the broader community. Cultural preservation is inseparable from survival. Oral histories, myths, songs, and rituals encode ecological knowledge, ethical guidance, and social norms. They provide continuity across generations, ensuring that essential wisdom remains accessible even as individuals age and environmental conditions change. Through storytelling, communities remember the lessons of past generations, internalize strategies for resource management, and cultivate an understanding of the complex interplay between humans and the jungle. This cultural resilience underpins physical survival, ensuring that knowledge, skill, and identity endure even in the face of adversity. Environmental adaptation remains at the forefront of tribal strategy. Tribes monitor the rainforest constantly, noting subtle changes in river behavior, plant cycles, animal movements, and weather patterns. These observations inform decisions about settlement location, hunting routes, foraging activities, and risk management. Adaptation is iterative, guided by experience, experimentation, and intergenerational knowledge transfer. By remaining responsive to environmental cues, tribes maintain the ability to thrive even as conditions shift, whether due to seasonal changes, natural disasters, or human encroachment. Health and disease management continue to integrate herbal medicine, ritual, and observation. Preventive measures, early intervention, and community care reduce mortality and maintain the strength of the group. Training the youth in these practices ensures that knowledge is preserved and applied effectively, reinforcing the importance of proactive, collective responsibility for well-being. The integration of spiritual and practical approaches enhances both physical and psychological resilience, a combination that is essential in the challenging Amazonian environment. Ultimately, the survival of Amazon tribes is a testament to human ingenuity, adaptability, and social cohesion. Their strategies demonstrate that enduring extreme environments requires more than physical endurance. It demands cultural continuity, ecological literacy, ethical conduct, and spiritual alignment. By integrating practical knowledge, communal cooperation, and cultural wisdom, these tribes have created a system capable of sustaining life in one of the most complex and challenging ecosystems on Earth. Their legacy is a model of holistic survival, showing that humans can not only endure but flourish when they harmonize with the natural world and with each other. The rainforest is both a teacher and a partner, presenting challenges that shape every aspect of life. Predators, disease, floods, and seasonal scarcity are met with observation, skill, and ritual. Knowledge is actively cultivated, preserved, and transmitted through storytelling, apprenticeship, and spiritual practice. Communities work together, forming alliances and sharing knowledge to mitigate risk and enhance resilience. In this way, Amazon tribes exemplify the integration of survival strategy, ecological stewardship, cultural preservation, and spiritual practice, demonstrating a profound understanding of what it means to live in harmony with one of the planet's most demanding environments.